Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Today we're going to be looking at an interesting pen from an American pen manufacturer. They've been in business for a long time. They're mostly known for the cross gold ballpoint pen, which many of us may have used or owned in our time. Excellent writing instruments. But they also make a fairly good fountain pen. I happen to have a few crosses. They are pretty similar in design and shape. They didn't take a lot of artistic liberty in their pens, but like the ballpoint, they are very classic and they are made very well. Nice, just a cardboard sleeve. We have the silver embossed box, and as you can see on the bottom, some information on it. And now we'll see it's the Cross Townsend Jade. As we open up the lid, we'll find a very good display model, an excellent booklet describing the pen. As you can see, hand inspected. This is one of the high-end pens that Cross made. These were produced in 1997. I don't know when they stopped production of the pen, but it is just a very unique pen. They came with a bottle of Cross ink. So let's take a look at the pen. There's nothing else that looks like this that anybody has ever made. They really took an effort with design and detail. As you can see, it's a classic Townsend shape and design. It's a pretty hefty pen, but not overly weighted. As like I mentioned before, the Cross design is classic. They haven't done much to change it over the years. When you have a classic, why would you want to change it? But they do experiment a lot with different finishes. And like I mentioned, this was just caught my eye. I snagged it on eBay many years ago. I'll show you some of the recent places where the pen might be for sale. Just a pull-off cap, nothing special there. A standard section, nice two-tone 18-karat nib. All of the Cross pens that I've written with, very smooth writers, mostly a little bit on the wet side. Just a classic plastic feed there. It's a cartridge converter. I have a Cross cartridge converter in there. The pen came with a converter, but for potentially the price of this pen, you would expect that. It does post nicely, and it feels to be a soft thing, so you wouldn't hurt the pen, but it is a long pen. And it is a little bit not well balanced, but without posting, it's extremely well balanced. Very nice feel in the hand. The section's a little on the small side, but certainly comfortable. And the little flare out at the end is nice. So you can hold it anywhere around here. There's no step, there's no indication. You may say it looks like the same box, but it is not. A lot of similarities between this pen and the one we just looked at. As you can see, the same silver embossed box. When I was doing my research on this pen, this model of the pen, and as we go over to the little label, is the Lapis lazuli pen. Is the more desirable, collectible, and carries a higher price tag. Similar packaging, beautiful booklet that talks about the pen. Again, I think Cross kind of went maybe over the top. Hand inspected. Describes the pen, how it's made. Both this and the Lapis pen, there's some reference to either jade being ground up and mixed with the lacquer or lapis lazuli being mixed with the lacquer, but they all have the gold specks in it, which give it a little bit of a dimension. And again, fit, finish, it's just beautiful. Hopefully you can see how those gold specks just kind of bring out the look of the pen. And since they're kind of done by hand, there's probably a very unique characteristic by these pens. Pull-off cap is with all Townsends. And again, as you can see, a similar, nicely engraved, beautiful 18-karat nib. These pens have never been inked, and they may never be inked, so they're kind of mint in box. But I've had a lot of other Townsends which I've written with, and I'm certain these will write similarly. When looking for a pen, I always look at eBay first, but many times a retail location can provide you with a better price. No, your eyes don't deceive you. We have another cross box with plainer oversleeve, but as we come over to the description, you can see it's another lapis lazuli pen across Townsend. But unlike the other ones that you saw, this one is not a fountain pen. Same type of silver embossed box. When we open up the lid, you'll see that I purchased this from one of the more well-known pen suppliers. So I got this at an excellent price a number of years ago, could be close to 15 or 20. I wanted a pen to complement the fountain pen. Those of you that may have seen some of my other videos, I do like sets. I enjoy having a fountain pen, ballpoint, pencil, combination. They're nice to travel with. And again, this, as you can see, it's the classic design. It's the same finish, and from looking at the outside, you would have no reason to believe this wasn't a fountain pen. But if you uncap it, you'll notice that it is a ballpoint. Classic cross. Crosses ballpoints, as we all know, write extremely well. Not inexpensive for the cartridges. I think Cross is a pen that is kind of not as well respected in the community as I think it could be or should be. Part of it is they're not really creative in their design. So for some people that want something a little bit over the top, but for a functional pen, they can't be beat. So I thought we'd just take a look in closing at another Cross pen that I picked up. I used to travel overseas a lot, and then I used to go to Harrods when they had a great pen department in the basement. So this one I picked up because I just fell in love with it when I saw it in the case and on sale, and those two things kind of get me excited. A different box, a different format, but still very classy looking. And as we open this one up, we'll see a completely, it's just, again, same style as the Townsend, but just a little bit over the top. Peacock is an excellent description of this. As you can, the clip is done a little bit differently, and it's a similar type of lacquering procedure, but for a different effect with the different colors in the pen. A little different banding at the bottom. So they do try to be creative, but certainly within a fairly narrow range for their design of their pens and writing instruments. This one again, pull-off cap, and another beautiful cross nib. They all write well, great feeds, cartridge converters. So I just thought you'd like to take a look at some of the things that Cross has done, and this one I'm quite proud of. It's a very wet writer, like a lot of Cross fountain pens are. So if you're in the mood for a nice writing instrument, you might want to try to pick one up or snag one at various places that are around. And as you enjoy the colors and the interesting way that Cross occasionally goes out and does something a little bit differently, but it's still in that same Townsend design. Let's take a look at how the Townsend compares to some other pens in size. One of the things that's quite obvious is the length of the Townsend is almost 6 inches, which is substantially longer than the Pelican M800, the Lamy Safari, and TWSBI Diamond 580. So that's one of the things that became apparent when I did my measurements. If we take a look at uncapped, we'll see how they compare. And the cross is still longer than the rest of the pens. The nib also holds its own. The M800 is probably the pen that I have that probably has the largest nib that people are familiar with. It's another 18 karat two-tone nib. Interesting that the swirl designs are a little bit similar between the two. You know, the cross nib is smaller, but that's what you would expect. I don't think Cross has been known for putting in large nibs. And we'll just take a look at the comparison with the 580, and it's slightly smaller than the nib on the 580. But again, as we've discussed earlier, sizes and everything, when the pen nib hits paper, the Cross is going to compete with any of these pens.